Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, my name is Wafi Sharfina. With my friend Devi and Vania Rosi, we are from group 9 and we will explain about testing speaking. And here we go. Definition: a speaking or oral test is defined as a test in which a person is encouraged to speak and then assessed on the basis of that speech. It can be used alone or combined with tests of other skill. Testing speaking. Testing speaking when testing the oral proficiency of learners, we may simply interview them and assess their responses, or use other techniques like role-play, group discussion between learners, monologue, pictures description, and so on. Why do we test speaking? Good tests lead to good teaching, which lead to good learning. For example, a test which includes a speaking component will likely lead to classroom which focus on developing communication skills. Here's how you can evaluate speaking. The first, create a rubric. Most teachers will be familiar with the concept of grading with a rubric, a table with different criteria and a grading scale. The second, pronunciation. Pronunciation is a basic quality of language learning that most second language learners will never have. Vocabularies. Vocabulary comprehension and vocabulary production are important. You should encourage your student to have a large production vocabulary and a large introductory vocabulary. Communication. Assessing communication in your student means looking at their creative use of the language. They do know to make their point understood. The next is accuracy. Grammar has always been and forever will be an important issue in foreign language study. Next, interaction. Being able to say what you mean with a foreign language is one thing. Being able to interact with others is another. Ask your student question, observe how they speak to one another. The next is fluency. Fluency might be the easier quality to judge in your student speaking. Assessment. It is necessary to develop a system of assessment that can be applied as objectively as possible, though it is probably never possible to avoid some subjectivity in assessment. The aspect of speaking that might be considered in the assessment scale are grammar, pronunciation, fluency, content, and vocabulary.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Vania Rosi Salsabila and I want to explain about the types of speaking test. Here we go. Okay, the first type of speaking test is reading aloud. One way that reading is tested by having the testee read aloud. This is not generally a good way to test reading. Its backwash effect is likely to be harmful and it is nothing a skill that is used much outside of the classroom. However, it is a way to test pronunciation separately from the content of speech. If it is necessary to use this method of testing, the test should at least make use of a situation where the student might actually be reading aloud, such as reading instructions of parts of a letter to another person. The second type of speaking test is conversational exchanges. Another simple type of test is a test in which students are given a particular situation and instructed to respond in a certain way. These tests are usually highly structured and require only a limited response, not connected discourse. This may also be done as part of a longer dialogue, where there are pauses for the testee's responses to questions on a tape. The problem with this sort of the test is that the dialogue on the tape keeps going along, no matter what the testee says, whether the next line on the tape is appropriate or not. In addition, it is testing listening at least as much as it is testing speaking. However, this type of test does make it possible to test large numbers of people at the same time in a way that is at least somewhat of communicative. And the third type of speaking test is testing speaking using visual material. Pictures, maps, diagrams, and other types of visual material can be used to test speaking without requiring the testee to comprehend written or spoken material. Through careful selection of the material, the tester can control the vocabulary and, to some extent, the grammatical structures required. One common type of stimulus material is a series of pictures which tell a story, often with a few sentences of introduction to get the test started. This requires the testee to put together a coherent narrative. A variation on this is to give the pictures in random order of the narrative to a group of testees. The students describe their pictures and decide on their sequence without showing them to each other, and then put them down in the order that they have decided on. They then have an opportunity to reorder the pictures if they feel it is necessary. Okay, the fourth type of speaking test is oral interviews. Oral interviews are testing situations in which the tester and the testee carry on a conversation. The tester generally has a list of questions to ask the testee, and someone, either the interviewer or another person, but preferably another person, assesses the language proficiency of the testee. The advantage of an interview is that it attempts to approximate a conversation situation, but the knowledge that it is a test and the constraints of the roles in the interview make it difficult to have a real, natural conversation. And the next is number 5, the role play test. Another type of test is a role play. In a role play, the testee and a confederate are given information which to base a role play, and the testees are evaluated on their ability to carry out the task in the role play. For example, the role play might be getting information about the course requirements. Role plays require the testee to use various functions that he or she might need in a real communication. Okay, and the last type of speaking test is group or pair activities. To avoid the types of problems associated with oral interviews, sometimes students are put together in pairs of groups that are given some tasks, such as the ones we mentioned before in the section on using visual materials. They might also be given a quiz to work on together, a puzzle to work out, or a task. The point of this is not to find the right answer, but to stimulate speech for the tester to evaluate. This is intended to be a less inhibiting situation than an interview test, but it also has the problem of lack of control. How the activity goes depends to a great extent on the mix of testees that are put together. If their level of English proficiency is widely different, or if one testee is particularly dominant, this will influence the interaction. A well-trained interviewer can provide similar environments from one interview to another, but this is not possible in testing a group of testees in a group activity. In addition, successful group discussions depend on factors other than speaking, including active listening and eliciting the opinions of a lot of the group members.
Hello, my name is Devi Puspita Sari. I want to explain about speaking skill. Speaking skills. Speaking skills are defined as the skills which allow us to communicate effectively. They give us the ability to convey information verbally and in a way that the listener can understand. Learning how to develop English speaking skills is so important for ESL students and EAL students too. Speaking is an interactive process where information is shared and, if necessary, acted upon by the listener. So it's important to develop both speaking and listening skills in order to communicate effectively. Next is the 4 elements of speaking skills. First is fluency. Fluency is about how comfortable and confident we are in speaking English. If we can talk for a long time, it is a strong indicator of fluency. This skill means listeners can follow what we are saying and not get lost. Second is a vocabulary. If we don't have the words to say what we want to say, then we cannot say it. Being a good speaker means continuing to develop our vocabulary. The more interesting words we know, the stronger our speaking skills will be. Third is a grammar. Grammar is important, and the fewer mistakes we make, the better our speaking skills will be. However, don't worry about making mistakes either. A good speaker doesn't have to use perfect grammar. Of course, it's a good idea to make sure that we have mastered the main tenses. Fourth is a pronunciation. The basic rule of pronunciation is that the average speaker can speak and be understood. A skilled speaker can use pronunciation sub-skills to emphasize and make the communicative effect of their speech more impactful. Pronunciation sub-skills include word and sentence stress, intonation, rhythm, and the use of individual sounds of a language. Next is speaking skills on the national curriculum. The national curriculum states that spoken language is a crucial part of learning English in schools. Throughout primary school, children will learn to 1. Listen and respond to teachers and classmates. 2. Build their vocabulary. 3. Use spoken language to express feeling, give explanation and describe. 4. Ask questions to increase their understanding. 5. Participate in drama, conversation, role play, discussion, and debates. 6. Understand formal and informal speech. 7. Listen and understand different points of view. 8. Hold the attention of the listener. Next is how to develop English speaking skills with ESL students. Practice makes perfect when it comes to developing English speaking skills. Listening to English, understanding grammar, and reading can all help sadly, but they are never going to improve English speaking skills to the extent it is possible. Your class needs to actually speak. As ESL students, understanding the nature of English can be a real struggle. Students with different native language can be at a disadvantage because of the nature of English. Here tips how to develop English speaking skill. 1. Learn new vocabulary in phrases. 2. Focus on pronunciation. 3. Ensure their understanding how English flow. 5. Get them to practice self-talk. And the last, encourage your students to download practice application. The next is improving speaking skills with EAL students. Children who are learning English as an additional language may need extra help developing their speaking skill and fluency in English. We have put together some ideas for assisting EAL children in learning spoken English. 1. Give children a language buddy. Get EAL children to work on tasks in pairs with a native speaker so they can practice their skills and pick up new vocabulary. 2. Create a synonym display board so children can learn new words and have a more varied vocabulary. 3. Encourage children learning English to spend time reading out loud every day. This will help them improve their fluency and confidence with English. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. We from Group 9 apologize if there are mistakes. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.